category of trees in the Garden of Eden. The 4 categories. We begin from Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2 verse 8 and 9. We find that God created, verse 8 it says that, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man who he had formed. So God planted the garden, he put the man he had formed in the garden. Verse 9 says that, and out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight. So the first category of trees that was found in the Garden of Eden was flowering plants. These are flowering plants. They are good for the sight. They are not meant to be eaten. You don't eat flowers. They have different colors. They are meant to beautify the place. Today, we put flowers in several places. You can even put them in your homes. You can have a garden somewhere. So there were flowering plants in the Garden of Eden that were made to make the place beautiful. The next category, it says that, and every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The next category of trees we find in verse 9 are trees that are good for food. They are supposed to be eaten. You put them in your mouth, you bite and chew, swallow. It feeds the body. It is food. The word that was translated as food here can also be translated as other things like meats. And they use the word food because food covers a lot of things that can be eaten. So this, the second category of plants or trees that were found in Eden, they were food plants, food that bear fruits that could be eaten. It can be fruits, it can be tubers, it can be anything edible. If it is edible, it falls in this category. If it feeds the body, you can put it in this category. The next category of tree is a tree that was called the tree of life. So let's read the entire verse 9 and see. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden. So we have a tree in the garden that would give life. Listen, this is not for sight. This is not a flowering plant. This is not a food crop. This is not a tree that produces fruits that you take, bite and chew. This is not something that would feed the body. This is a matter of life. So this tree was going to give life. It was going to feed. So the life, because the life came from the spirit, so it was going to feed the spirit. The first category of trees were feeding the eye. The second category of trees were feeding the stomach, was feeding the body. But this category of trees are meant to feed the spirit of the man, to give him life. The next category of tree, which is the last one, is the tree of knowledge. Now this tree was meant to produce knowledge, was meant to give knowledge to the man. But the knowledge that this tree was going to give was a mixture of good and evil. It wasn't as if when you go to this tree you find a fruit or you find a produce, or it will produce something good, then it can produce another thing which is evil, so that you can divide between the two and say that, okay, I'm choosing the good, I'm not choosing the evil. It was a mixture. It was good and evil at the same time. Now this tree was meant to produce knowledge. It was not a tree that would be pleasant to the eye, feeding the eye. It was not feeding the stomach. Neither was it supposed to give life to the spirit, but it was supposed to produce knowledge. Okay, knowledge. So this knowledge was not good. It had evil in it. It also had good in it. A mixture of truth and lies. A mixture of light and darkness. A mixture of left and right. It wasn't something God would prescribe for the man. So the man was warned not to consume the fruit of that tree. We will take these categories and go into them into details and look at what they are actually about. But this is just meant for you to know the different category of trees that were in Eden. Okay, so a tree for the sight, a tree for the body, then trees for your spirit, and trees that feed your mind, that produce knowledge for you. Alright, so we will examine them later on. Thank you for being a part of this broadcast. I would come back to you later. God bless you. I hope you had a revelatory experience. God bless you so much.